This is a map tier list for if I am watching Counter-Strike, how much am I enjoying the game, irrespective of the teams that are in it. The first is the quality of the fights. Do I feel like they are quality engagements between opponents? Second is the narrative building. Usually this has to do more with things like, oh, are there good stages for map control? Is there a battle to take and reclaim space? Is there a natural push and pull that we can follow in a macro sense that helps us tell the story of what went on in this matchup?
That everyone dreams about. Make your dreams come true on Skin Club.
Style variants. Can multiple styles work on this map? Does a slow, trudging style work? Does that fight for map control always have to look one way or another? Or can you play with different types of styles? Can you do execs? Can you do pops? Is there good room for CT aggression? Aesthetics, this is just purely how it looks. I'm going to be pretty subjective with this one here. Quality of fights, narrative building, which kind of means like macro elements, style variance, predictability, that's kind of also in a micro sense. Do I know the round is over at this point every time? Historical significance, I feel like when I explain this through a map, it will make a little bit more sense. Aesthetics. And aesthetics is just simply how it looks. Okay, let's work backwards here. Let's start with Vertigo. Okay, keeping that tier list in mind, we're going to start with Vertigo. Because Vertigo, let's think about the rubric. Watchability, quality of fights, it's quite low. It's quite low. Launders has said himself that his least favorite part of casting is having to pretend fake hype smoke battles at the A ramp of Vertigo. The quality of fights are bad. On bomb sites, it's okay. Narrative building, the worst narrative building of every map, practically speaking. Almost every map has a better narrative building than Vertigo, so it would be the worst of that. Style variants, again, practically everybody is going A or trying to take space towards that, space towards ramp. 80% of rounds involve that. Predictability. I will say that's something where actually predictability, it actually serves Vertigo. It actually has pretty good it's unpredictable. It's actually kind of unpredictable, I will say. It's actually pretty unpredictable when I watch Vertigo. I'd say that even in a 3v3, like, if the T's take a ramp, I don't know if they actually win the round, because there's a lot of good counter utility most of the time. The map is very retakeable. In fact, it's probably in some ways the least predictable once you get to certain points, because so many times it's just throw a smoke on the bomb, defuse, and then people try to guard that guy. Historical significance, the two biggest games of Vertigo that have ever been played were, one, a surprise pick by Astralis in the quarterfinals of the Berlin Major, where they surprised Liquid with that pick, and the other being Map 3 FaZe versus Spirit at the most recent PGL Copenhagen Major 2024, and both teams were terrible. Both teams were really bad at the map. The aesthetics of the map are fine. They're fine. They're actually fine. Like, I don't really have any qualms with Vertigo in that regard. I actually think it looks... It's very I can look at it. But given the fact that the quality of fights is incredibly low, the narrative building is incredibly bad, the style variance is very bad, it's actually fairly unpredictable, and historical significance is just kind of average, and its aesthetics are okay. It's already failed 3 of the 4 most important categories here for me, and so I will be labeling Vertigo in the F tier. This is a watchability tier list. It is a watchability tier list. For playing this map, I would rate it higher. I am not going for that right now. Next up, Train. Quality of fights. Actually kind of bad. Actually, not great. A lot of long-range fights between rifles that are so far away that the actual standing and accuracy of the guns is put to the test. That's actually kind of a bad part of it. Narrative building, it might be the best, though. I will say that the narrative building with Train is exceptionally strong. Watching ladder fights, A main fights, watching Ivy fights, watching inner B fights, like pushing up. Are they going to contest for that space? The contest for space on Train offers so much in terms of narrative building, in terms of style variants. These are kind of interconnected, I'm kind of realizing. But I think they are such an important part of watching the map. So the narrative building and style variants is, well, I'll say this. The narrative building is very, very strong for Train. Maybe style variance isn't quite as strong, but it still is quite strong. I've still seen some kind of hipster ways to play the map where sometimes teams focus on Ivy a lot more. Sometimes ladder is the main focal point. Sometimes teams run out of ideas, so they just go B. But predictability, in a round, it's actually fairly predictable. If the T's get the bomb planted on A, it's very hard for CTs to retake. Very, very hard. And so actually, I think that's kind of like predictability kind of goes hand in hand with retakeability or like man down situation. What can you do? I will say in the mid round before the bomb plant, it's pretty unpredictable at times. But I will say that once the bomb is planted, I kind of know what's going to happen most of the time pretty consistently. You like the A clutches on Train, the rain clutch, the B pistol clutch. Like, planting the bomb is so favorable. Once you get the A plant as a T on Train, you should win that 80% of the time. So, VP Astralis Train, yeah, historical significance, really high. Really high. Very well played games over history with this one. LG, SK were famously very strong on Train as well. I remember Cold Zera playing back 6 with the rifle. I even actually remember this in Twist's debut with FaZe when he was secondary opping back 6 and Olaf was still on the team then. I remember Twist having some really sick moments then. I remember NRG versus Astralis, Devices moment. Aesthetics kind of bad, actually. I would even say worse than Vertigo. But I'm going to say this. Where Train has excelled is narrative building and style variance. But other than and historical significance. So it's getting like almost 50 points for these 3 categories. Pretty good. But then it kind of falls off in this, and this. And so for watchability, it's very fitting. I will actually be putting Train in the B tier. I will be putting it in the B tier. Gets a lot of points. I think it's a little drab in terms of color, but that's not that important. I just think the quality of fight sometimes isn't that high on Train. It's just like oppers. Like, you see double op all the time. Like, rifle fights are less exciting on this map because they're just going to get beat by oppers most of the time. There's some cool moments, though, on it. I'd say historical significance, style variance, this practically 50 points. Style, I think it gets a B, though. I think it gets a B. It gets a B. Okay, moving to Overpass. Quality of fights. I think rifle fights on this are exceptional. I think rifle fights on this really show who's actually a good aimer. I actually think that Overpass has insanely strong rifle fights. Because of the uneven ground, you actually get to see who are the best players at moving crosshair to head in a raw, full X-axis, Y-axis degree sense. It is seriously impressive when people can consistently be very strong on Overpass because it means you have full control over your wet Y-axis, X-axis. And that's why Nico's kind of bad at the map, guys, because the ground's uneven. And he really just likes moving his mouse like left and right. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding about that. Like, that seems like a reach, but it's not. Narrative building, I'd say narrative building is strong on Overpass. It's like, okay, are they taking B water control? Are they fighting, is it a connector fight? Is it short A? Are they doing some kind of like style variance? Incredibly high also. They, again, wins very highly on these. Predictability kind of pops off too. I actually think it pops off really strong. I think there's a lot of moments where T's are in a 2v3. There's still a player at back default, back truck. One's rotating over from B. Those TOTs can take out both those guys on the A site still, can make it their way in, win a post plan at that point. There's so many moments on Overpass. Retaking B is a bit different. I think retaking B is pretty predictable. I think the T's are very advantaged there. So I think it kind of is middle of the road for predictability. Historical significance used to be a hallmark map of Astralis back when they were in their era. Used to be really, really strong for just for them. I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the best teams in history have moved away from Overpass. They didn't really love it, but I have to bring up this Olaf boost. Yeah, Olaf boost. Yeah, you guys are writing it in chat. Olaf boost. I think historical significance is exceptionally high for that because it's one of the most iconic moments in history. Is how you got to look over everything, and I think that means something. I think that means something. There's the Olaf diffuse that was on it too. You know, the diffuse and the flames with the Pansy cast. Guardian on Overpass was good. Device was insane on it. Part of the reason that Gambit won their major is because Mo out-opt Device on it at PGL Krakow. So actually, it scores a lot of points for historical significance there. Aesthetics, it used to be pretty bad, but actually with the Lydia facelift, and if you don't know Lydia, she is a 3D modeler designer that worked at Valve briefly. She's the one that updated a lot of, if not almost all of the textures on Overpass from CSGO to CS2. I would say in the beginning of CSGO, it looked pretty bad, but now I think it looks really good. Quality of fight is very high. Narrative building, very high. Style variance, very high. Decent predictability, decent. Like, I'd kind of give this like a D or a C. And historical significance, very high. Aesthetics has popped off lately. I'm going to give this an A. Overpass for me was very, very watchable. I feel like the reason that some people in this space stopped liking Overpass to watch is because they thought that it was very... I see their complaints with it. It was that you do have to do this slow grind for map control towards A to push back the CTs, but that was part of the allure of the map. I thought it was very good. I really, really did enjoy watching it for that reason. I just feel like I would... Narrative building, quality fights... Okay. You know, if anything that I move down on it, it's probably style variance is kind of a slow, trudging creep towards A. Okay, that moves it to A. It's still A. It's still A. It's still A. It's still A. According to my calculations, that is still an A because S is going to be, like, nearly perfect. I'm just going to take my own liberties here. There. It's my tier list. A+. It's A+. It's not S. It's not S. It's A+. So, Nuke. And then Train goes up to A. There we go. There just has to be a differentiation. There has to be. Okay? Nuke. This map, I'm going to say something. This map used to suck to watch. I'm not going to lie. In the beginning of CSGO, dude, this shit sucked. This shit absolutely sucked. Anybody that said otherwise was not watching. That's fine. If you weren't watching in 2012-13, that's fine, but it sucked to watch then. It was so boring. I did not like watching it. The comebacks were not... Well, also, it was mostly NIP just shitting on everybody on the map, but I watched a lot of other stuff, too. I watched a lot of other stuff, and I'm not gonna... I'm gonna use, like... If I want to do this right, though, I'm gonna use the current iteration of Nuke, because there were also a lot of bad versions of Nukes where they had those railings outside that made it very, like... It just was weird, dude. It was just stupid. It was just, like, so many stupid little things. The original version with the catwalk was dumb. The current Nuke, though, is a goddamn delight. It is a damn delight to watch. I will say that Nuke right now is not in the best place it's been for top teams. Like, I see a few too many blowouts on it. But if I really go through all of these... Quality of fights is actually quite high. I love fights on bomb sites. I think the outside fights are really good too. I think the ramp fight is pretty clean. It's very clean. Narrative building, very high. Top marks for that. Style variance, also top marks. Predictability, dude, I don't know in an A post plant or B post plant what's ever going to happen because Cadian can clutch on any single... Cadian on B site is like, that's his home. I think Liquid just doesn't play Nuke enough and doesn't let Cadian clutch enough on B. So good. Historical significance, the Astralis streak. Aesthetics, tip top. Nuke is an S tier map. There's no question. There is no question. It is absolutely S tier. It is easy S tier, actually. Easy S tier map for me for watchability. I love watching Nuke maps because either we get this, like, the best thing about Nuke is that there have been some blowouts lately, but I just find that the better team is winning. Like, it's not like some stupid ass, like, wow, I never saw that coming, you know, like phase at the major over Vitality, the better team won. The better team won. Maus versus Vitality at ESL Pro League, better team won. Better team won. You're not fluking a Nuke map usually. You don't fluke on Nuke. Nuke is not for flukes. You're on Nuke, no fluke. You're on Nuke, no fluke. You win on Nuke, no fluke. There we go. FaZe versus Na'Vi. Maybe fluky. Maybe a fluke. No, okay. All right. Okay. No, Nuke has been incredible. Nuke has been insane. Mirage. Mirage. Let's go to the tier list. Quality of fights, 20. Really good quality of fights. That's why people like it. That's why you like playing it. That's why I like playing it. That's why everybody in your face of games loves playing it. One person and one hipster out there is going to be like, I don't like playing it. Well, the numbers tend to disagree, unfortunately. Very high quality for fights. Narrative building, also very good. Mid control, A control. Yeah, I would say it's a little bit less stimulate. I'll say this. Quality of fight, let's do this. Narrative building, I'd say it's a little bit worse than like Nuke. Like, it's a lot more mid fights than anything else, whereas Nuke, there's just a lot of changes that can happen. But it's still very good.
J0LT just subscribed.
J0LT, thank you so much for the sub. You're my newest friend. Appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for all the subs today and the new follows as well. Appreciate that. Style variants. I'd say Mirage is the best. I actually think Mirage is flat out the best. I've told people this before. I've told other analysts this, and I think people have kind of started repeating what I've been saying. I've been saying this. I've said it on podcasts too. When I want to learn how a team plays, if you said watch one map and then essentialize their style, I go to Mirage. I go to Mirage because if you have a more exec-heavy style, well, you're going to exec more on Mirage towards B and A. If you have a more methodical, slow map control style, you're going to take mid control slowly. If you have a lot of plays you like to run on CT side, you're going to show us who those people are, who those designated people are for just those kinds of aggressive plays on CT side. If your Opper is good at rotating, he's going to show you that on Mirage. If your Opper can take over, he's going to show you that on Mirage. If he's simple, you will know. You will know when he's on Mirage. Predictability, Mirage, the B bomb site retakes, a little bit less predictable. A site retakes, I have no idea. I have no idea who is ever going to win an A retake if it's like an even man situation or anything like that. It is so 50-50. It's so 50-50. If it's Cold Zera at B bomb site, yeah, you know that he's going to lock it down in a post plant. Predictability, I'd give it very high marks for this, as in like it's very unpredictable. I'd say like 18. Very hard to know the course of a round, other than like a very advantageous T post plant at the B bomb site. Historical significance. I feel like NIP lost their 82-0 streak on this map, by the way. 87-0. NIP lost their 87-0 streak because of this map, because Forrest jumped out of window with an op and jumped into underpass and just gave it away. It was so stupid. Jumping double from cold, historical significance is top tier. Top tier. Aesthetics, it falls behind a little bit. Aesthetics, it does fall behind a bit. I'm going to give it like a 5 here. Okay, let's look at the numbers, though. It's S. It's actually S. People don't want it to be an S, but it's an S. It is an S. It's an S. Mirage is an S tier map. I don't even care, guys. I don't even care. Yeah, but like A plus, S, bruh. It's S. Mirage is an S. The Wolf of Wall Street. The only okay. If we actually want to go through all of this, all of these could be 20 except for aesthetics. I think aesthetics is the only thing that's a bit drab. Okay? And I'm not going to move something out of S tier because of aesthetics. Okay? Actually, am I backtracking? I feel like it's better than Overpass, though. It's better than Overpass. It's a tier above Overpass, and Overpass is a tier above Train. And Train is an A tier map. Yeah, it's S tier. It's S tier. It's S tier. It's absolutely S tier. It's absolutely S tier. It's definitely better than Overpass, and Overpass is already good. And Train is a little bit worse. Okay, next map, Inferno. This is where, this has to be the most polarizing map in the pool right now. Inferno's crazy right now, guys. Inferno is crazy. Quality of fights, I actually think they're kind of low quality fights. I'm not going to lie to you. I think Inferno has some lower quality fights. Narrative building, banana. Dude, if I'm going to fault Vertigo for being all about A ramp, it is barely above that. It is barely above that. It's just banana, banana, banana. Oh, halls pop. Okay, they took bracket this time. Okay. Narrative building, it's not that great either. I'm going to do like 17, 16, 17. Style variance, there is like none. There is practically, I do not think you could tell me right now that there is a single team that plays a unique, like a wholly unique brand of Inferno. Okay, I just don't think it's happening. I just don't think it's happening. I just don't think it's there. Predictability, it's unfortunately very predictable. It's unfortunately incredibly predictable. The aesthetics are top tier. It actually is like one of the best looking maps, and historically it's god tier. It's pretty bad though. It's pretty bad. It is quite bad in terms of a lot of these things. Predictability is very bad. So let's add these up. 30, 50, 65. It's a C tier. It's a C tier map, guys. It is a C tier map for me. It's C tier. It's definitely not in that upper echelon, okay? It is not in that upper echelon at all of maps anymore. I would, okay, these are obviously too high. We're actually, wait, it needs to have a C for narrative building, not a B. Okay, you're right. I gave the numbers were mad. Okay, I should just do, okay, if I were smarter, I would have made an Excel sheet and I would have just put like, here's the grade, and instead I was just making up numbers off the top of my head for that one. Okay, so quality of fights is like a C. So it's like 70% of 20 is 14. Okay. No, it's 16. See, this is why I don't do that. Wait, actually, let's do it 15. Let's actually put it as 15 because that's actually the percentage I'd give it. Okay, that's like 65. Narrative building is also bad. It's like a D. Style variation, a D. Predictability is very bad. It's like a low D. Okay, that's realistic. That's realistic for all of these. That's realistic. That's realistic. That's real. That's real. 30, 45, 55, 65, and 79. So that's a C. That's a C. That's a C. Actually, it's so predictable. It actually becomes like an F. It's like an F for predictable. So that, okay, boom, done. Boom. 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 That's it. That's real. That's real. That's real. Real. Yeah, I don't want everything to be an 88 like at IGN. That's true. Okay, quality of fights even lower. You're right. Quality of fights is lower than that. That's real. That's still a C. It's a C. It's a C. It's a C. It's done. It's done. It's done. Moving on. Dust 2. You people don't rule my lives. But you do. But you do. Okay, quality of fights. Dust 2, actually kind of higher. It's actually a bit higher. That's why people like to play it so much. If people didn't like to play Dust 2 so much, there's some kind of actually neat angles with the fights that are nice. And you have a nice variation between close range, long range. You have the truly longest range fights of any map on that. So that's kind of nice too. So the quality of fights is not going to say top tier, but it's good. It's actually pretty good. Narrative building, horrendous. The narrative building is very bad. It might actually be worse than Inferno. So we're going to give it 14. It's quite bad. Style variance, non-existent. It's non-existent. Actually, it's really... F. It's an F. Predictability, B. Dust 2 is the hardest bomb site to retake. It is the hardest bomb site to retake ever. 11. Stays at an 11. It's like the same thing as Inferno. This is a D. Is that math right? Okay, NA math. NA map. 18. Okay, 32. 43. 54. No, it needs to be lower. We need lower. It can't be this high. 30, 40, 50. No, it's actually not this good. It's actually not this good. Style variant. Okay, what am I talking about? Style variance is an 11. It's like a 10. It's like a 9. It's actually like a 9. There's nothing you can do. If your style, here's why it has to be just a flat out F for style. Like let's just give it a 5. Let's give it a 5 out of this, because the style variant, if your style is predicated based off of your spawn, that's not you choosing a style. That's you RNGing into a spawn, okay? Finally, I'm going to be a bit harsher. Oh, aesthetics is not a 10. Oh, you're right. You're totally right. Aesthetics wouldn't be a 10 either. Okay, that's where I was giving it too many points. That's where it's going. That's where those points are going. We are reverse engineering because it is a fraudulent list. Okay, 30, 40, 51... 56 and 64. D for dust. D for dust. D for dust 2. There we go. It's a D. Okay? It's quite bad. It's like the most it's the highest cultural impact of any map, period. Okay? Let's just say that. Yeah, let's just say that. It's actually a 9 for historical significance. It's actually insane. It's the most iconic map in FPS history. It's literally, actually, you know what? It has to be a 10. What am I talking about? I'm not, why am I bending the knee to that? Why am I bending the knee there? Yeah, it's flat out a 10 for that. We can't even argue that. Cobble. Quality of fights, actually very high also. Quite high. A lot of the fights are on the B bomb site, the B plat to B site. Chicken fucking coop. I will say that drop is awkward, so I will lower it a little bit. So it's going to be like that. The quality of fights at drop are very bad. The quality of fights at that little, what's that? Water when you're going down to A main, and then you have to go up those freaking like little like castle stairs to get to A long. That's really a bad fight also. But then the fights around A are pretty cool because you have these nice slopes. You have like kind of these like slanted edges. There's a lot of variations in like slight variations in elevation. I think that's kind of good, but I'm still just going to give it a B minus there. Narrative building, it's not very high either. It's a little bit better than Dust 2, but not by a lot. Style variance, actually there's some. I'm not going to say it's great, but it's not a lot of style variance. A lot of it is B execs. A lot of it is just taking drop slowly, then doing a B exec. But there's some kind of like, you can outmaneuver people. There's a little bit of faking. But the problem is predictability is and style variance on the CT side is very bad. There is not a lot you can do as a CT. There is not a lot you can do, okay? The style variance on CT side is non-existent. There are three people towards B, there's a player towards drop, and you're playing one guy towards A solo a lot of the time. The CT side sucks on this map. It's like, practically speaking, Cobble is like old Anubis. Or Cobble is like Anubis in that the T's have all of this space, and then they honestly they just get to do whatever they want. It's not a lot for style variance at all. So not great. Predictability, I'll say the retakes are pretty hard to understand. And like, I don't really know what's going to happen in a round a lot of the time. It's like the exec comes out and it's like, I don't really know. Are the CTs going to be able to hold it or not? I think it's pretty good for that, actually. I'll say predictability is pretty good. Actually, it's quite good. I give it an A minus. Let's give it that. Historically speaking, it's actually pretty low. Like, you're not going to convince me right now for chat. You're not going to convince me right now that because it had Dragon Lore drops that it deserves historical significance. There's really like no graffiti. Like, I'll tell you the most memorable moments on Cobble right now. Kerrigan absolutely fucking up on a player on Kenny S when he's on B. So he's actually just playing badly. There's Snacks' Big Apple, he's hungry moment. And then there is, yeah, the Kerrigan moment, him whiffing. Oh, Fallen randomly shooting the doors and headshotting somebody. That's it. Like, I think one of the best maps ever of this was, I'll just show you guys. This was like the best game of Cobble ever. F. F. A. S. S tier. S tier. S tier. S tier. S tier. S plus for that. This game is history, baby. This was history. Oh yeah, it was bolts, not FNX. But it was still insane.
Положение, но все максимально плохо для него. Virtus.pro довольно быстро выходят на точку, а после того, как Snacks...
That was the best game ever. But this is still pretty accurate. Aesthetics are a little higher. It actually... the old generation of maps only had certain limitations, but there were some cool things that... I'd say actually Cobble gets higher than that. It's a freaking castle. It's a freaking it's a friggin' castle. I think the dumbest part about Cobble's aesthetics is that stupid-ass APC and CT spawn. That shit was ugly as F. That shit was so ugly. But that's the only thing that takes Cobble down from a 10 in terms of aesthetics to a 9. Okay? That stupid-ass APC is just Garbo. 78. C? I think C tier is fair. C tier is where I'd want it to be. Because if anything, I would have probably had Inferno edging it out just like that. Just barely beating it. But if they're in the same tier, that's okay. Now, Cash is pretty good. Quality of fights is a 20. The quality of fights are fucking good. The quality of fights are effing good on this map. I'm not going to lie. Okay, the simple clip is better. The simple clip is better than that. Narrative building, a little bit weaker. The problem with Cash is that every round also plays pretty similarly, but it is better. It's like fight for A main, fight for B main, fight for mid, but most of the time it's a fight for mid. But sometimes some weird stuff happens. There's a lot of weird stuff. I think where Cash actually gets more points than you might think is that mid was so useful. So useful. Once you unlocked mid as a T, you could go into vent, you could go up highway, or you could do what a lot of maps don't really allow you to do that well, is that you'd actually go into CT spawn. Okay? That was cool. That was a cool part of the map. The reactions were a little bit predictable. Usually, if the CTs lose mid, they're just going to reaggress into A main. I'd say 1 out of 4 times they'd reaggress into B main. So I felt like the style variance wasn't incredibly high there, but it's kind of like what you did once you had that space was what was fun about Cash. So we're going to give narrative building and style 16-16. Predictability, dude, I have no idea what's happening in any retake ever. I think it's one of the most unpredictable maps of all time. But B post plants were usually a little bit too hard, but there was actually a lot of good retake utility for that B bomb site. So I will put it as like a 19, because B was a little bit too obvious. But I practically never knew who was going to win what fights ever. That was a great part of the map. Okay, historically speaking, also gets a 10. Just great job. Jumping or the falling one button on his mouse Dan moment. Aesthetics, it's okay. It's like, okay, I'm going to give it an 8 for that. It's pretty high, though. I think I would lower aesthetics, actually. I don't think it looked that good. It kind of was drab. It was a little drab. Few too many just, like, rusted containers and shit. Like, it is a weapons cache. Oh, okay, just to be fairer to my own ratings here, I would kind of do this. The style is like a C-, but the narrative building was good. Okay, I think that's fairer to, like, what I actually... to differentiate between those categories a little bit more, but it still results in a similar number. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put it in the same tiers. I'm gonna put it in the tier beneath Train. I'm making this shit up. It's like a B. It's like a B for me. I think it's still in the top few maps right now, but it's definitely like a B. It's like a B. It's like a B plus. But I don't need more categories. It's a B. It's a B. It's a B. Okay, okay, okay. There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Now it's real. Now it's real. Now it's the real rating. That's the real rating. It's a B. It's a B. It's a B. Recount the votes. We didn't stop the count. Someone hide this rubric. Someone just... The rubric is fraudulent. The rubric numbers are fraudulent, but this is the most subjective tier list I've ever made. And I put it in my B tier list. Okay. Anubis. Brand new map on the block. Has practically no cultural significance yet. Really, the most culturally significant thing that happened on Anubis was Fame messing up a jump because of a clipping issue. So it gets a 1 for historical significance. It gets a 2 for historical significance. Aesthetics are great. I'm going to give it a... I'm just going to keep it as a 7. They're quite good. Predictability, unfortunately, it's fairly predictable in a lot of moments. Style variance, not really a lot of that. Narrative building, not a lot of that either. Quality of fights, quite high. I think that's the one thing that it's got going for it. I think the quality of fights are quite high throughout most of it. Maybe not 18, though. Maybe do that. It's pretty bad. It's actually, now that it's kind of grown on me a bit, as in not grown on me, like I'm enjoying it more, but I am seeing more, 65. I wanted it to be right here. Personally, I wanted it to be right there. That's exactly where I wanted it to be. This is exactly where I want Anubis to be, because to me, it's kind of just the new Cobble. It's kind of just become the new Cobble. It's unfortunately, both of these maps play out very similar, where the T's get a lot of space, they get a lot of control, and can kind of just do whatever they want. This is where the tier list is completely fraudulent, and you need to throw it out entirely. I'm not even going to go through all this shit. Ancient is an S tier map. It is absolutely an S tier map right now. Ancient is the best map in the pool right now to watch. It's the best map in the pool right now to watch. It doesn't have the cultural cachet that Mirage and Nuke do, but it is literally the most fun viewing experience today. It is so freaking fun. It is so fun. Dude, Ancient, the best... Ancient is literally, like, every time two teams load up on Ancient, 1, I find out so much about them both. 2, I have no idea who's going to clutch shit out ever. 3, there are so many styles that work for this map. We've got A execs that are good, B execs that are good. Once you take mid control, you can then have you now have donut space, which you have to like barely clear out. Once the T's get mid control, that shit becomes just the wild west of freaking mid rounding. It is unbelievably good. It is unbelievably good. It is, dude, I'm a hot take merchant, okay? I am a hot take merchant, and the hot take is that Ancient is in that S tier, okay? It is absolutely in that S tier. I have more fun watching Ancient than Nuke and Mirage today, okay? All right? Ancient has become the most fun map to watch. It was, if you don't like Ancient today, you haven't been watching for the last 6 months close enough, okay? Because Ancient in the beginning was bad. Ancient was bad. Ancient was really bad in the beginning. Pumping the brakes on Ancient a little bit and being a little bit more realistic and fair to the rubric, the aesthetics are bad. It does not have the historical significance. So the max it should be is A+, okay? But in terms of watchability, like quality of fights, very high. Predictability, it's unpredictable at AF. Style variance, very high. It is, let's look back at some of these things. Narrative building, not maybe it's best. Okay, let's do this. Quality of fights, I'm going to say 20. Narrative building, a little bit lower. It's like that. Style variance, it's a little bit lower. It's like that. Unpredictability, 20. 20. Historical significance, kind of low, but I would say that in the last couple of majors, it's actually been good. Aesthetics has actually been pretty bad. So I think this is a more realistic ranking of it, and that's, to me, A+. That's really what it is, okay? There. That's the final tier list. That is the final tier list. There we go. There we go. There we go. This is it. This is the final tier list for watchability. This is the final tier list for watchability, and I will not explain the train movements I just made. I will not explain that further. Okay, actually, you know what? I actually kind of like that idea. Oops, why did I do that? Here, why is that happening? There, okay. Add row above. Yeah, I kind of like that idea. I F with that. I F with that. I F with that. And then we do this. Boom. Okay, screenshot this. Post it on HLTV. This is exactly how I feel. This is exactly how I feel. If I got a map pool, and think of it like this, guys. Think of it like this, okay? Think of it like this. If you had a map pool today that had Nuke, Mirage, Ancient, Overpass, Cache, those 5 maps, come on, it's good. It's already a good map pool. It's already a good map pool. It's already a very good, strong map pool right there. And then you take out Vertigo, you take out Dust 2, and you have Cache, Inferno, Cobble, or Anubis. Dude, that map pool is sick. That map pool is sick. Yo, who would not like watching this shit? Yeah, why are you booing me? I'm totally right here. I'm 100% right here. This is totally right. Dude, if your map pool had Nukes, Mirage, Ancient, Overpass, Train, bro, I'm watching every BO3 with all of those and I'm not stopping. And then, if it were up to me, personal preference, I would just do Cache Inferno. I would do Cache Inferno. But I get it. I get it. You got to appeal to the lowest common denominator player, so you want your Dust 2. You want your Dust 2. I get it. And Vertigo's played a lot. I get it's played a lot, but it is not good for watching. It is not fun to watch. Because the thing is, for bad teams, so what would be really cool about this, guys, would be really cool about this map pool, if we had, let's say this, Nuke, top 5, and then you have Cache, and you have Inferno. Okay, let's do that. So you have 2 or 3, 2.5, I'd say 3 aim-heavy maps. Mirage, Ancient, Cache. But you have some more tactical maps. Nuke, Overpass, Train. And then you have Inferno, which is like the ultimate decider. Everyone used to call it that. It was the ultimate decider. It's got a nice mix between good macro strategy. You do have to hit your shots, like, and it's not, you can't really pug it, but it is definitely a little bit more like, it's like, I feel like it's like really based on macro elements, but it's like an everybody can play thing. I think that's a great map pool. You basically are guaranteeing that the puggier teams, like the Bad News Ingles, whatever, like the puggy teams would get one of would get one of Mirage, Cache, and maybe they get Ancient. Okay, those are kind of like the more skill heavy maps. But then the more tactical team would get to play like a Nuke or a Train, and then final veto. So like let's just conjure up a veto for a team that's like heavy tactical, and you conjure up a veto for a team that's heavy skill based. The heavy skill based team would ban out Train. The heavy tactical team would ban out Mirage. Okay, now the heavy skill based team would pick Ancient or Cache. Let's say they pick Ancient. Okay, heavy tactical team picks Nuke. We got Ancient, Nuke kicking off a series. Now the heavy skill-based team bans Overpass. They don't have the native protocols to play that one. Then heavy tactics team bans out Cache. Decider, Inferno. Perfect. Is that not a perfect way that veto should be decided? Is that not literally how this shit should work? That's so good. That's freaking good. That's exactly how I want vetoes to play out. That's legitimately exactly how I want these things to play out. I want there to be like 2.5, 3 skill-based maps, 2.5, 3 very tactical maps, and 1 map that's kind of in between. That is entertainment right there, baby. That is entertainment. That's I actually in a weird fricked up way that's got me bricked up. Inferno should be in the pool all the time. Okay, that might be the hottest take here. You look at this whole tier list, and I think Inferno should always be in here. I think it's a very good balance between everybody knows what it's about. A lot of people have pugged it. It doesn't just rely purely on aim. I think the fights are kind of bad. In fact, because the fights are bad, I actually think macro elements are so important of that map. Also, would take complexity new map just adds more depth. Completely new maps. Start making polls on YouTube like Launders to get viewer feedback and a bigger data pool for the average viewer. It'd be interesting. I'm very, very comfortable with this, though. I'm very, very comfortable with this tier list. Because I'm just going to say this. I don't want Dust 2 and Vertigo in when I'm watching games, I don't really want to watch them. I don't really like seeing those too much anymore. Okay, guys, okay. So that's my final map tier list. I'm gonna say, as always, being toxic is a choice.